I want to get into the fashion show that we witnessed
Okay.
on camera. I know that you are very involved in fashion. You had your
Yes.
store, you know everything about clothing lines, fashion in general. I had a store. I had my own clothing line. It was also for kids called
Love
Wyatt
it.
Lily, and it won all sorts of awards. So my question for you is, what was your thought on Bougie Kids?
I didn't look at the fashion too much
Hmm.
because I was so taken aback by what she had said to the little girl. If you don't smile, I'm gonna in your face.
Yeah,
We did that on my podcast.
I
I'm
saw.
so taken aback by the way she behaves and how, again, classless. That I think I was so shocked by what she said. I didn't get a chance to even look at the fashions. But kids are kids. I like when they're froofed out and I like them in leopard and I like all that kind of stuff. That's not the way I dress my son, like flamboyant. I was very more collegiate but I'm not gonna put down her fashion. I'm
Mm-hmm.
just gonna say her fashion, the way she dresses. Oh my God. I mean, I have offered my help number of times. I'm like, this is bad. This is bad.
Do you think she says things like what she said to that kid to be funny? Or do you think, and she gets it wrong? Or you think she just really has no class and like doesn't know how to communicate
Both,
properly?
both. She said it to be funny with no class. When
Okay.
you have no class, you say things like that. And when you have no couth.
Right. So now I want to ask you about the Danielle and Jen feud. It seems really physically aggressive, like the way that they're showing next scenes. And now that we've heard that there's no reunion, I'm curious if you think that this has something to do with how big this exploded. People think that the explosion, I think for a long time, was going to end up being just Melissa and Teresa, but this seems to be getting out of hand too somehow.
She picked up a glass pitcher and threw it, which could have really gotten ugly, which is very
Who's she?
dangerous. Danielle Cabral
Hmm.
picked up a glass pitcher of water and threw it. And it was really shocking the way I hear it. It was very shocking. Jen said something to Danielle about Nate's anatomy, saying that he's got man boobs. You know what I mean? And that really put Danielle over the edge. Okay. And I guess it was building up. But this was the second time that it got physical between Danielle. They were on pause for a little while because it got physical a while before that. This one I heard was really bad. Glass broken. People could have really got hurt. What if glass went in someone's eye? So yeah, I mean, there's things happened in this finale that blew the producers' minds, and no one's talking about it. They're on, they're not, the girls aren't even getting screeners anymore. They're not even getting the screeners before. They're not, yeah. They're on a tight lock. They're on a gag order. They're not even allowed to go on podcasts and talk about the show at all.
Yeah.
So there's some ugly things that happened.
So I'm just curious, with all this stuff with reality reckoning and all this talk about how people are getting in trouble and, then blaming it on producers. This doesn't seem like it was created by producers. This seems
No.
like a feud that was building up based on what people are saying. And it wasn't really for the cameras because obviously
Right.
it backfired. I mean, how dangerous do you think it has to be before they say, okay, listen, this is not happening. You're fired. We're going to, make an example out of you. Like at what point is it enough? Because I also think it creates a lot of discourse between fans and shows people how to treat people terribly.
Yeah.
Don't you think? Because they really look up to these women.
Well, that's why the reunion's canceled.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're
I mean,
getting punished. They're losing a lot of money. They get it. Listen, they all expected a check on June 27th to show
mm,
up at the reunion. It's a 3-part series. What happens is the producers lose a ton, millions. The editors, the producers, the cast, makeup art, everybody loses in this. So it had to be pretty bad for them
yeah.
to cancel it.
So, and are none of the girls talking to each other right now because they're so upset about how it all went down and the fact that
Um,
they're losing money?
Jen and Teresa are friends. Jen, Aiden, and Teresa are friends. They talk.
Mhm.
Dolores is doing Traders, so we'll see what happens when she gets home. Margaret and Jen Fessler and Margaret and Melissa are still friendly. The rest, I'm really not sure about.
Yeah. Okay, if you had been on the season this year, whose side would you have taken?
I mean, there's a couple different things that I would have done. I'm definitely gonna, on with Joe and Melissa, I'm definitely taking Teresa's side. Okay, on that. Because I know the inside scoop as to why they didn't go to the wedding. Okay, so I know where it started. Margaret and
Meaning that Melissa thought that Teresa was done and therefore they didn't need to go.
right,
Okay.
right. Okay, so I would have been on Teresa's side for that. As far as Margaret, I would have stayed neutral. Jen Fessler and Jackie, I don't like them at all. So I would basically, really don't care. Dolores and I would have had a ball, had fun. Danielle Cabral, I think, is classless. I would have, and in the beginning, I was good friends with Rachel and John. Some things have happened since that I feel that John is not acting right to me. So our friendship or our, mutual respect for each other is kind of put on a pause right now. I want to see where he's going with this. But I think I would have been neutral, except for Teresa and Joe and Melissa. I would have had to take a side, and it would have been Teresa's side.
Right. And that probably would have been pretty explosive in the whole group anyway.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
What is your reaction to Dino Manzo's ex-husband's conviction?
I'm so conflicted. I'm going to tell you why. Do I believe that what he did was 1000% wrong? Absolutely. Of course. Of course. I had a situation like that with my son's father, who has passed away now. I know what that's like. I like Tommy. Tommy's a really good guy. I really like him. And it's so hard for me to accept that his emotions got away from him. And if he did do this, he stooped to that. Do you know what I'm saying? So I'm so conflicted because I really like him as a person to me, but I would never, ever condone what was done. Ever, ever.